WADR, promoting dialogue. It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Chaos erupts in Ghana's parliament as minority and majority clash over vetting process.
Logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. The microphones have all been destroyed.
Economic Crimes Court in Benin sentences former allies of Patrice Talon to 20 years for conspiracy against the state. Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations in the Gambia voices concerns over endorsement of the return of ex-President Jammeh.
I am very much concerned as a victim because my heart broke when I hear people speak about these things. Especially, there's a lot of people opening their platforms talking about the return of Jammeh. Sometimes we are so insensitive in the way we talk about these things.
And in Mali, 11 soldiers and civilians on trial for arms and drug trafficking. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and welcome to our listeners within the sub-region and beyond. Newslink begins in Ghana, where chaos erupted at Parliament's Appointments Committee following a heated standoff between the minority and majority caucuses. Members of the opposition New Patriotic Party minority demanded that the vetting of ministerial nominees for the Foreign Affairs and Health Ministries be rescheduled to Friday, citing concerns over the date's proceedings. However, the National Democratic Congress majority side firmly rejected this, insisting that the vetting should proceed as planned. The disagreement escalated into a chaotic scene, with some minority members overturning tables and damaging microphones in an attempt to force an adjournment. WADR's Nadia reports.
Tensions ran high at Ghana's Parliament Appointment Committee on Thursday evening as a heated confrontation between the NPP Minority Caucus and the NDC Majority Caucus descended into chaos. The disagreement stemmed from the majority's insistence on extending the vetting session beyond 10 p.m., a move the minority strongly opposed, despite its leader spending over 3 hours questioning a nominee who had earlier appeared before the committee. What began as a verbal standoff soon escalated with tables overturned and microphones damaged in the process. With the disorder threatening to spiral out of control, police officers had to step in to restore calm. After nearly 30 minutes of confusion, Majority Leader Mahama Yaraga intervened, acknowledging the damage and announcing the session could not continue.
I am pleading with all sides. As you can see, we would have continued, but logistically, it is no longer possible to continue. The microphones have all been destroyed, and you know that with the microphones destroyed, it will be difficult for the media to carry the proceedings live at various stations.
Mahama Yaraga later expressed regret over the incident and assured that proceedings would resume in a more orderly manner the following day, Friday. But even after calm was restored, the debate was far from over. Addressing the media, Minority Leader Alexander Apenyo-Marking defended the minority's position, insisted that they had the right to question the nominees thoroughly. He further accused the majority of attempting to manipulate the vetting process, suggesting they were not acting in good faith.
You are aware that some of the nominees, we don't even ask them questions. Where we have to ask the relevant questions, we will ask. Nothing will stop us from asking the necessary questions. We will not accept any bully. They can call us micro-minority. They can say whatever they want to say.
As Parliament braces for a tense continuation of the vetting process, today, Friday, all eyes will be on the appointment committee to see whether cooler heads will prevail. For WADR, Nadidi Teti, Accra.
Meanwhile, the vetting process is taking place today, Friday, as the Appointment Committee has already vetted the Minister of Health Before the resumption of today's session, the chairman of the appointment committee, Bernard, herefore apologized for the eruption on Thursday. Crossing over to the Gambia, the Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations has voiced concerns over the endorsement of the return of ex-President Yahya Jammeh to the country as a free man. This follows Jammeh's recent declaration that he will return to the Gambia. Why some citizens welcome his return, victims groups fear it could undermine ongoing transitional justice efforts. Sankule Janko tells us more in this report.
Speaking to a group of his supporters via a WhatsApp audio message, former President Jammeh insisted that he would return to the Gambia, regardless of opposition. Some Gambians have openly endorsed the idea of his return as a free man.
He's a Gambian, he have right. Let him come.
Barrow's time, now killing is too much here. In Jammeh time, there was no killing. Yes, I want him to come back to be the president.
However, such sentiments have sparked concern among human rights advocates, particularly the Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations. Aisha Haruna Jammeh, a member of the center, has spoken out against Jammeh's return.
I am very much concerned as a victim because my heart broke when I hear people speak about these things, especially there's a lot of people opening their platforms talking about the return of Jammeh. Sometimes we are so insensitive in the way we talk about these things because victims are still mourning. Some have not even found where their loved ones have been buried. For example, my dad, we don't know where he's buried. My aunt, we don't know where he's buried. So if we Gambians have forgotten so soon, this was just like yesterday.
Aisha, who is also Jammeh's niece, lost her father, Haruna Jammeh, who was allegedly killed by the former president's regime due to his opposition to Jammeh's rule. Despite these concerns, Aisha reaffirmed her faith in the Gambia's ongoing transitional justice process.
Of course, 100%. I have trust in the process. I don't think Adama Barrow government would sleep on not ensuring justice and accountability is served to the victims in the Gambia. I don't think with all the efforts that they've put in place to ensure there's justice and accountability for victims would sleep on allowing Yahya Jammeh to come back to this country and to allow the entire process that they've worked on since 2017 to go down the drains.
Meanwhile, former President Jammeh could soon face justice following ECOWAS approval of a special tribunal to prosecute him. For Newslink West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sankule Janko reporting from Banjul.
In addition, the Gambian government spokesperson Ibrahim Sankara says President Adama Barrow is unmoved by Jammeh's recent comments about returning to the country, including his threats. The government mouthpiece stated that the Gambian leader recognizes Jammeh as a citizen of the country who has every right to return home. However, he must be answerable to the allegations of human rights violations. Here is an excerpt from Sankara's statement.
President Barrow has a clear-cut mandate by the Gambian people. The majority of the Gambian people went to the polls and voted him into power, like they did for Yahya Jammeh for 22 years, minus maybe the 4 or 5 years that he staged a coup when he was still in military regalia. So how would an exile, who has been exiled for 8 years, a former president, with all these looming allegations of atrocities, of liquidations, of disappearances, of torture, murders, most foul, how could that person just come to the Gambia and just hell breaks loose and everybody flees the Gambia? The Gambian people are stronger than that. Those Barrow want justice for the victims of the alleged murders and all those. Whether it's to prosecute Yahya Jammeh, because when I say prosecute Yahya Jammeh means it's targeting Yahya Jammeh. So Barrow doesn't target him. Barrow he's eyeing for justice. People came before commissions, financial commissions, human rights commissions, and they made allegations. It's not a court of law. It was an inquiry, a commission of inquiry. Now, Jammeh should also come and tell us his story. And then the law will take its natural course.
Ibrahim Sankara is the Gambian government's spokesperson.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's turn our attention now to Sierra Leone, where human rights group Amnesty International is calling for the release of Sierra Leonean Canadian artist and reality TV personality Hawa Hunt. Hunt has been in detention for over a month after being arrested on live television in December 2024. She faces charges under the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021 for allegedly insulting President Julius Maada Bio and the First Lady in a social media video. Imo Edit reports.
Hawa Hunt, a well-known Sierra Leonean Canadian artist and reality TV personality, remains in detention more than a month after her arrest on December 22, 2024. The 42-year-old was taken into custody live on air while participating in the reality show House of Stars. Her arrest followed the circulation of a 25-minute social media video in which she criticized President Julius Maada Bio and his wife. Authorities have charged her with 2 counts of transmitting insulting messages via computer system under the Cybersecurity and Crime Act 2021. Prosecutors argue that her remarks incited public disorder and damaged the reputation of the president and First Lady. Amnesty International has condemned her prolonged detention and repeated denials of bail, raising concerns about her mental health. Michelle Eken, senior researcher at Amnesty International's West and Central Africa office, stated that Hunt's detention violates international legal standards, emphasizing that non-custodial options such as bail should be prioritized. The human rights group has also criticized Sierra Leone's Cybersecurity and Crime Act, citing past concerns about its potential to suppress free expression. For now, Hunt remains in detention with growing pressure on Sierra Leonean authorities to ensure a fair trial and immediate release.
Imo added with that report. Elsewhere in Guinea, political parties are strongly opposing remarks made by the government spokesperson Ousmane Diallo, who suggested that not all elections will be held this year. Politicians are calling his statement a sign of disorder at the highest levels of the state and are urging General Mamadi Doumbouya to take responsibility by providing a clear and precise calendar for the elections. Following the government's press conference on Wednesday, reactions from the political class have intensified. Dr. Ibrahim Mansour Jallow, leader of the ADC Bok party, accused the government of lacking the political will to organize elections. A similar stance has been taken by the Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea, led by Selou Dalen Diallo. Samuel Koroma, a member of the opposition party, also criticized the government's stance. Crossing over to Benin, as the Court for the Repression of Economic Crimes and Terrorism, CREAT, delivered its verdict in the high-profile trial for conspiracy against the state. On Thursday, former close associates of President Patrice Talon, Olivier Boko and Otsua Humeke were sentenced to 20 years in prison and fined 1.5 billion CFA francs each. Businessman Roch Neri, accused of playing a key role in the alleged plot, received the same sentence. Christopher Atijo has the details.
After several days of proceedings, CREAT has ruled on a case that has shaken Benin's political landscape in recent weeks. Olivier Boko, considered Patrice Talon's right-hand man, and Oswald Homike, former Minister of Sports, were found guilty on charges including conspiracy against the state, bribery of public officials, and falsification of documents. Their sentence is severe, 20 years in prison each, along with 1.5 billion CFA francs fine. Also implicated in the case is businessman Roch Neri, accused of playing a key role in the alleged conspiracy. He was handed the same sentence, 20 years in prison with a 1.5 billion CFA francs fine. In addition to their prison terms, all 3 convicted individuals have been ordered to pay 60 billion CFA francs in damages to the state. The court has also ordered the confiscation of assets linked to the case. This includes 55 million CFA francs from a prestigious insurance policy taken out for the commander of the Republican Guard, as well as a 1.5 billion CFA francs seized from Homeke's residence. Furthermore, a vehicle intended for transporting funds has also been confiscated. However, the 3 other defendants, Hugh Ajagbeku, Cornel Bagidi, and Ganyo Sanusi, have been acquitted as prosecutors determined that they were merely following orders and were not fully aware of their employer's intentions. Throughout the proceedings, Olivier Boko and Oswald Homike have maintained their innocence. Notably, they were convinced in the absence of their lawyers, who withdrew from the case in protest, citing procedural irregularities.
Christopher, our teacher, reporting there. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Vetting process resumes in Ghana's parliament following chaotic clash between minority and majority bloc. Economic Crimes Court in Benin sentences former Islas of Patrice Talon to 20 years for conspiracy against the state. Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations in the Gambia voices concerns over endorsement of the return of ex-President Jammeh. Still ahead in the news in Mali, 11 soldiers and civilians on trial for arms and drug trafficking. We also have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for sticking with us. As a reminder, we're streaming live on YouTube at WADR News and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now take you to Mali in the Sahel, where 11 soldiers and civilians are on trial for alleged arms, ammunition and drug trafficking. They appeared before the Bamako Military Court on Tuesday, facing potential sentences of over 10 years in prison if convicted. The first case involves illegal arms trafficking and sales, with defendants including a senior army officer and other military personnel accused of arms trafficking, complicity, and violating military regulations. The second case concerns drug possession and consumption involving a first-class soldier and a civilian. According to the Military Justice Code, sentences could range from 1 to 5 years for misdemeanors and 5 to 10 years or more for criminal offenses. The prosecutor emphasized the threat to public security and urged the military personnel to uphold their duty. Away from Mali, experts at the ongoing 5th edition of the Lake Chad Governance Forum in Maiduguri, northeastern Nigeria, are warning that without transformative investment in agriculture, West Africa's food crisis could spiral out of control. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, reports a staggering 50 million people now face food insecurity, a leap of 35 million in just 5 years. Usma Umra is attending the event and now reports.
I'm here on a very distinguished, important
This is one of the many sessions held thus far at the forum. The focus is on ensuring food security through building climate resilience of food systems in the Lake Chad Basin region. One of the panelists, Food and Agriculture Organization FAO representative in Nigeria and ECOWAS, Kofi Dominic Kucho, emphasized the inadequacy of short-term humanitarian aid in addressing the crisis, advocating for transformative agricultural policies and innovations.
Just to let all the partners know that, yes, of course, we are doing a lot. Yes, of course, we are trying to work together to find the solutions, but the needs are growing so fast that we need to invest very quickly, organize, collective manner to be able to bring a durable solution of what we are doing.
With devastating floods affecting millions last year, the FAO representative stressed the need for adopting climate-resilient agricultural practices. He emphasized that large-scale investment in agriculture, particularly in climate-resilient seeds and improved irrigation systems, as crucial steps towards sustainable change. Echoing these sentiments, David Stevenson, the country representative for the World Food Programme, who moderated the session, emphasized the untapped potential within the region's traditional agricultural systems, which he said could be pivotal in reversing the food insecurity trend.
We're working closely with the African Development Bank right now on what I think is potentially a really revolutionary study. We also have the participation of IFPRI in the study, looking at humanitarian food system solutions. So that's been an intense study done throughout northern Nigeria, from Lake Chad all the way to Sokoto, looking at 8 commodities and how there can be investment and reinvestment in stimulating the agricultural economy and getting nutrition outcomes.
As the region approaches the 2030 deadline to achieve zero hunger, these experts call on governments, donor agencies, and private sector stakeholders to rally behind innovative farming solutions and regional collaborations. They warn that without immediate and coordinated action,
millions more could face hunger and malnutrition. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, northeastern Nigeria.
To health matter now, the Democratic Republic of Congo has seen a surge in Mpox transmission and suspected Ebola cases over the past days, with the spread of the disease attributed to ongoing war in the country. This is according to the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC. Africa CDC Director General Jean Kasia, in a weekly media briefing on Thursday night, said ongoing security challenges in DRC, where conflict in Goma had escalated, have increased Mpox transmission and suspected Ebola cases. He revealed that the ongoing crisis in the DRC had significantly disrupted disease surveillance and response efforts. Africa CDC data revealed that 12 African countries are in the active phase of Mpox outbreak. DRC, Burundi, Sierra, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, Republic of Congo, Zambia, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. According to Kasia, 9 African countries are currently in the control phase of Mpox, while Mauritius, South Africa, Morocco, Gabon, and Zimbabwe have reported no confirmed cases for more than 90 days.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, this segment of Newslink takes us back to Ghana, where chaos erupted at the Parliament's Appointments Committee following a heated standoff between the minority and the majority caucuses. Our guest is Paul Osiewufor, coordinator of the Center for Democratic Development in Ghana.
What happened yesterday is condemnable and it's quite unfortunate. It's a bit embarrassing to us considering the many years of democracy that we have practiced in Ghana. We've had so many power alternations, so one will at least expect that as we are maturing in our democracy, these incidents of brawl and fisticuffs will happen in Parliament.
Now, sir, how does this early disagreement and disruption in the Ghanaian Parliament hamper its deliberations on national issues?
Parliament is a house of debate, and there is this kind of politicking that also takes place in Parliament. So we must also understand the whole situation in this context as well. But Parliament, as a master of its rules, has on many occasions right up to the situation to resolve their differences, especially between the majority and the minority. We don't anticipate this incident disrupting the work of Parliament going forward, but it's an incident that is unfortunate, and there must be a solution so that it doesn't recur, because this appears to be the second or third time that we are experiencing this situation.
Now that it has begun with chaos, what do you think will be the outcome?
So according to the legal frameworks, if the committee fails to reach a consensus on a candidate, the report is referred back to the plenary in Parliament and be taken. That is a secret vote to be taken, and the fate of the candidate will be decided. But I must indicate that the current majority is a super majority, and they can always use their numbers to validate any candidate that they bring. But I think the public also has a role to play. It's through the vetting process that the public also gets to know the kind of aspirants or nominees that the president has also presented. So much as the Parliament, the majority has a supermajority, the vetting process gives an opportunity to open up the process, makes it transparent for citizens to follow. So far, I think there have been consensus on all the candidates that have gone through the vetting process. We are yet to see a situation currently in this ninth Parliament where maybe a candidate will be rejected and the person will be subjected to a vote at the plenary.
Paul Osiewufor is the coordinator of the Center for Democratic Development in Ghana. Up next is Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Renan Pedros has been appointed as the new head coach of the Côte d'Ivoire's women national team, marking a new chapter in the career of the French tactician. A two-time winner of the UEFA Women's Champions League with Olympique Lyonnais in 2018 and 2019, Pedros succeeds Clementine Touré, who held the position for 13 years. Pedro's appointment reflects the Ivorian Football Federation's FIF desire to take the team to the next level and revitalize the Elephants' aim of qualifying for the CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The last time the Ivorians participated in this competition was in 2014, where they finished third and left a mark on the women's game in Africa. The team has only participated once in the Women's World Cup in 2015, where they did not make it past the group stage according to CAF official website. Since then, Côte d'Ivoire is yet to qualify for the Global Soapies, and this is where Pedro's experience and expertise should play a crucial role. The French coach arrives with an impressive track record, including leading Morocco to the round of 16 in the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup and securing a runners-up finish at the 2022 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Umu Danyogo for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Mustafa Jakite will be here at 1 p.m. with the news in French, which is Info chez vous. I am Augustine Cully. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 1.